Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday afternoon. Most of you are probably just now getting off work. It's been a fun week, hasn't it? I think it's kind of obvious what I'm going to be talking about today. I think the title says it pretty much all that we need to say. I know I'm tired of watching these politicians, the people we elect, just constantly lie to us, not do their jobs, not represent us. They haven't gotten nothing done since with this new administration. They refuse to do anything besides committee after committee investigating things that, when they are given real issues, real things that many of them promised and campaigned for, promised you, the people, that they're going to change. When they get an opportunity to do it, they say, screw you. You know what I say? I say it's time to take our government back and get rid of all these so-called congressmen that don't care one bit about you, only their pockets. What is needed is all of them replaced, not with politicians or rich people, but with everyday common people. You out there listening to this, working 40, 50 hours a week to make ends on the table. You know what we need in this country. You know what your rights are. You know what you struggle with. You know what kind of health care you need. It's time we stop re-electing these politicians, these rhinos, these career politicians, these rich people, and start electing you, the everyday person that knows what it's like to work an honest living, knows what changes they want to see in their community. You know what your community wants. Because quite frankly, the Democrats, the Republicans, the Independents, the Liberals, and we just keep adding names to that list, don't give one bit of a care what you think. And that's not what our Constitution, that's not what our forefathers are about. It's time to take our governments back, and I don't mean just in the White House, I mean our state governments as well. Now it's supposed to be about we, the people, for the people. Find your voice in your communities, support them, and elect them into office. No celebrities, no more corporate bureaucrats, because all they care about is being rich. Let's keep it real. I know some of you guys, throw out some of these celebrities. Well, let's look at Hollywood. You know why why they took the patriotic colors off Wonder Woman? To appease the markets overseas. They make more money overseas. This was the straight quote from Hollywood, the producers, for most of the movie you're seeing, because we don't spend money on American movies anymore. They make more money overseas, so therefore they're catering to the overseas audience, and they're saying, screw you. Just like our politicians are saying, screw you. So no, I don't want to see a Kid Rock in office. In fact, I don't even want to see a Ted Nugent in office, and I would have voted for Ted Nugent. I want to see an everyday, normal person, a person that goes in, puts in 40, 50 hours a week. A person that knows what's wrong with this community, the changes that needs to be made. Because obviously we followed the system for long enough. We see that they don't care. That every time something important comes, they don't understand. They must not understand it because they're part of the 1% crowd. You know, then, or they're the multi-rich, multi-millionaires. They don't hold the values we hold. They don't want to see America great again, because if they did, they wouldn't even tried to bring so many different forms of replace and repeal. They would have just repealed the damn thing and gotten rid of it. You know, no offense to all you Bernie Sanders supporters out there. Socialism don't work. Get over it. In fact, study your history about socialism. In fact, you don't have to go very far back. Just go look what's happening in Venezuela. That's socialism for you. In fact, Charlie Ward just died because he couldn't be, because of that, the European medical care that Bernie Sanders wanted to point out. These are the countries that I would love a system like that. As long as we took these places that he made examples of, and we get rid of the bad parts. The bottom line is, everybody, if we're going to have an insurance and the government don't want to pay for it, then you make it so it's affordable, so the poorest of poorest can afford the most major surgery and stay in the hospital and not have to worry about it. These systems that are in place in other countries, learn from the mistakes and the things that are broken with them, and you can create a system that will work for you. It's not hard. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. In fact, it just takes common sense. Here's the common sense knowledge most of our politicians have. Most of them are invested in these pharmaceutical companies. They're making millions. Most of them are invested in the oil. They used to be called oil tycoons. And they're making millions. Sorry about that. I got disconnected. Seems there. You know, the stuff we see happening in California, Illinois, we need to even replace our state level officials. We need a complete replacement. And it starts by putting everyday normal citizens into office. Not these re-electing these career politicians. I mean, they've already showed you guys they don't care. They don't care about your voice. They're not even listening to you. I mean, how many of you actually called them and complained, wanting change? Did they listen? No. Change is only going to happen when we demand it, when we start voting accordingly, when we stop putting our faith into celebrities and rich people to run this country. They're not the backbone of this country. They don't even know how it works. Half of them hasn't worked, did an honest, hard-working day in their life. And it shows it. Nothing wrong with putting educated people into office, as long as they've been properly educated, as long as they know their history, they know the Constitution. You know, I'm just getting sick and tired of them getting to office and making millions while we struggle. And they claim every cycle, they want to sit here and lie to us every year, or every 2 or 4 years, whenever their re-election comes up, that we're going to do this, we're going to repeal this, we're going to replace this, we're going to make changes, we're going to cut your taxes. Then as soon as they get elected, what do? Not what they promised. Don't you guys get tired of that? I know I am. Start going around in your communities. Start talking to people, bringing these things up, asking them, what changes would you make? Find that leader in your community who's willing to stand up and be your voice, who's going to listen to you. Start doing fundraisers and fund drives to generate the money so you can get that person to be able to run. And yes, I will be the first one to tell you, the cards will be stacked against you. They're going to be more stacked against you than anything, because the laws that have been put in place, even our Supreme Court had failed us by allowing the corporate sector to dump as much money as they want into these politicians' campaign funds. That's why we see the corruption we have now, which should be a wake-up call to the Supreme Court to bring that issue back to the court and make an amendment and change it. The system's broke. When we, the people, stand up for our rights, demand that our voices are heard, then we'll start seeing change. Because when we start demanding those things, we're demanding it by putting our own into the government, not the rich, not these 1%. Then we'll just use another, say, 4 or 5%. That's probably being way too generous for the other rich, the Hollywood celebrities, the musicians. They're not our voice. They only care about one thing, and that's making money. That's seeing the status quo as it is right now. And guess what? Status quo, we're tired of it. I'm all for making America great again, and I believe almost every single one of you out there are as well. And I think most of you are getting fed up to being lied to. You know, one thing, the best thing that happened today is all these career politicians will be sitting at home living the high life while we're out there busting our asses off, struggling to get by, laughing at us because they didn't do nothing other than be obstructionists. They kept the status quo. And that should make every last one of you fuming mad. The bottom line is, change isn't going to happen if we keep letting these idiots into office. We control the votes. Let's keep it real. The Democrats will say, well, we're honoring our commitment. We're honoring our pledges and what we ran for. Yes, in fact, they actually are. They are right. They're honoring the 1% and 4%. The 95% of the rest of America, they're not honoring you. They don't care about you. That's what they've told us. Just not these last 7 months, but these last 20, 30 years. And it's only gotten worse. You know, there's one good thing that came with Trump's election. He threw the proverbial monkey wrench into the system. And he created a movement that they weren't expecting. Make America great again. And we can and we will. Every time they do, our politicians here of late do something, they're just further showing us how corrupt, how greedy, and how much they don't care about America. You know, people are going to say, well, what about party lines? Who cares about party lines? Since when is it about Democrat, American? Isn't it, or Democrat, Republican, Independent, and all the rest? Since when does it matter what that means? You know what matters? America. You are an American. You're not a Democrat. You're not a Republican. You're not an alt-right. Or whatever other word you want to create to label yourself. You're only one label. You are an American citizen. You are an American. We are a group of people with one common identity, American. There should be no bipartisan. Yes, we're going to disagree on issues. The trick is finding the answers from those disagreements. How can we make what we disagree on better? How can we fix a problem and make it better? I mean, I've heard all the arguments about Obamacare. I've seen Obamacare in action, and it does not work. You know what my biggest problem with Obamacare was? When the Supreme Court said there's things in it that's unconstitutional. That should have been your warning flag. No bill, I don't care what it is, should be done behind closed doors either. Because we have the right to know what's in that bill before you vote on it. That's by law in the Constitution. We need lots of changes. Our president right now, he's making some great changes. He'd make a lot more great changes if Congress would get off their high horses and work with him, find common ground. But they're not going to do that. Why? Because they don't care about you. They really don't care about him. He's the one that broke their system. He's the one that's showing America how bad it really is. And he's not the complete answer either. But he is the answer when it comes to the economy. He's a businessman. And he's running the White House like a businessman. If you can't get the job done, you're fired. Guess what, America? You're their bosses. Come election time, they're not getting the job done, you're fired. We will find somebody who represents we the people for the people, who doesn't represent this propaganda crap from corporate sectors, bureaucracies, that believe in the Constitution and what it stands for, that's not going to argue about stupid transgenders being in the military when, hello, research it. Go look at the videos and psychological studies of transgenders while they're on their hormonal medication, how snappy they are. You know, the part that really made me mad about that SEAL coming out and saying what he said, you know what the media didn't tell you? All those medals and all that service he gave for 20 years, he was a man. But I tell you what, there's a lot of people that served with him starting to come out and calling him what he was. They're not happy about it. We let these politicians railroad us. We let things that trend all over Twitter control our feeds, take away from the real messages that are being out there. Like how many of you, do you know what's going on in Minnesota right now? Do you know you got these Somali refugees running around people's houses and properties, going to people's doors, threatening to rape the women? No, probably not. One, because the news media isn't reporting it. Two, it's just the local news that reported it, and it's being overlooked. We have some serious, major issues in this country that needs to be addressed. You know, how do we address these issues? Well, first, and it does start at the state level. It starts, but with a good, strong movement, community movements, we can tackle the problem just not at a state level, local level, but also on the federal and government DC levels. It starts within our communities. It starts talking, finding common ground, putting identity politics out aside. You should only be one thing. You gather. You are an American citizen. You are an American. You are the pillars of this country. You are the backbone of this country. You know what this country needs. Find that leader within your communities and support them. Find a way to generate the income, the capital that is needed to get them on the ballot so they can run for every office. Every last one of the politicians we have in office right now need to be gone. Do not reelect them back in. Some of you say, well, but all these Republicans, no, they didn't. They kept on changing something that they knew wasn't going to get passed. They don't care. They're just keeping to the status quo. Because if they really cared, they wouldn't have drug it out as long as they did. They would just came up with a full repeal. We're done. It needs to go. All of it. Why? Because the Supreme Court even said so. There's things in here that's unconstitutional. It needs to go. And that should have happened in the House, because the House is responsible for a Constitution and the laws that govern this land. And they obviously don't care about the Constitution because they won't even take care of Obamacare. You know, it's up to you guys. You guys got to make these choices. You got to start creating these movements, and it starts within your communities. It starts talking with your neighbors, in your churches. I know church and state is supposed to be separate. But you can talk about politics in your churches. You just can't financially support from your churches. So like I said, you got to know your laws. You got to know how it works. We got to know the laws that we need changed. That's the problem. They haven't been listening to America. Because if they did, we'd never be arguing about the Second Amendment. We'd never be arguing about the First Amendment. Our two most important amendments we wouldn't even be discussing. Every citizen in this country would be free to walk around and carry. They wouldn't have to buy a carry concealed permit. It wouldn't even be a question. Because let me tell you something. Ohio's proven it, and several other states. When you allow and you set laws up that allow you to protect yourself on your property or in your car or in public buildings that allow you to open carry or concealed carry into their building, crime rate drops. When a citizen can defend himself and the people around him. In Ohio, we have this thing called the Castle Law. They've made amendments and changes to it. They finally got a system where it protects everyone. Even felons, believe it or not. Although felons still cannot own a gun, but if a felon lives in a house or is in a car with somebody that has it, the felon is now protected to use that gun to defend himself and the people in that vehicle or in that house or that property. And I'm not saying, when I say felon, I'm not saying the idiot that's coming on your property to steal your shit or take your car or do whatever. They're not protected. The only thing they have the right to do is submit, wait for the cops to show up and be arrested or shot. Don't worry. And they know it too, because they know that person has every right to shoot you, and that person is not going to jail. That person is just going to fill out a statement and he's going to get a pat on the back. But it's just like everything else. People abuse laws. And when people do abuse it, they need to be properly punished for it. We need to end the double standards. There's so much double standards with our politicians and the rich. They think they can get away with murder, and some of them do get away with it because they can buy out the system. Well, I think we're all starting to see the house of cards is really starting to come down. You know, the Democrats being obstructionists, trying to do this community, that stuff's starting to backfire on them. The dirt's starting to come back on them. You know, we've been demanding justice. One of our major chants, lock her up. Why isn't she locked up? Why in front of these committees? Her day's coming. Just like every single one of them. We need to end the double standard. We see it. We demand that they change. They don't, because they don't listen to us. Are you tired of not being listened to? Are you tired of not having your voice heard? Are you tired of working your asses off while these politicians get rich and fat? Go on these break from Congress when they've accomplished nothing. While they're on recess, they've accomplished nothing. Why should they be on recess if they can't even pass a bill? In fact, they should be at their desks working right now. But they're going to go on their yachts, to their mansions, and they're going to laugh about all of this. the mockery of it all. You know who they're laughing at? Us. That should make you mad by itself. You know, I'm tired of hearing the celebrities say whatever they want. Maybe this time they grow up and realize, oh, fine. You don't want to support America? You want to class yourself and be still underneath the 1%? Because you are. They're under the 1%. Like I said, they're about the 4% bracket there. You know, the rich. We'll just class them all rich. And don't get me wrong, guys. I know some people that are, known some people, I still do, that are rich, that work their asses off for what they have. They started from the ground floor doing the labor that we've done and invested properly and worked to have what they got. That's the other issue. Now, we blame the elites. We blame the rich. But there is some out there that's earned it, that say the same things we do. You know, maybe it's time some of them actually stand up. But for this next election cycle, I would not vote a single celebrity into office. Nowhere. Because we've seen what they do time and time again. We've seen what these career politicians do. Very few have come up and stood up and stood by the American people, stood by their voice, backed their voice. I wonder how many more times I'm going to get disconnected. Stream. Which is weird. I got a full stream. Okay, so just talking about Kid Rock's not a good idea. Just joking. Now, when he does start talking about these things, what can we back these things up on? He's lived the high life for most of his life. See what I'm getting at, guys? What has he given back to his community? What has he given it back to Michigan? That's why I would actually, if there was the only two choices we had, nobody came up from Michigan that's a regular, everyday person, and the two choices were Ted Nugent and Kid Rock. I know what Ted Nugent has given back to the community. I know what Ted Nugent stands for. He's been always vocal about it. He's given back so much to his community. And I would still, truthfully, I would rather see one of you out there step up. You're the ones we need to be voting for. You know, these are the choices and decisions you guys got to make. You got to decide. Have you really had enough? Do you really want to make America great again? And if you really do, put political ideology and identification labels out the window. Don't label yourself as anything but an American. I am an American. I'm here to support my community, my state, and the people of America. That's where they've tricked us all, creating all these labels to where it all does is slowly divides us, creates these guys hip. For those that understand block technology, they're creating blocks, multiple blocks. It's a cube. Remember the old Rubik's cubes? Take them apart. That's what they're creating. They're creating so much division that we can't gain a movement because we have all these different labels. Well, this label means this, but yet when you look at this label, you see division amongst that label where they had different opinions of what alt-right means. Some say it means alt-white. Some say it means something more on socialism or capitalism. It's like that with every single politician. As soon as they come up with something, they find new ways to create a division within it. No more division, guys. No more labels. You're a community. You're an American. You're not a Democrat. You're not a Republican. You're not white, black, Asian, Mexican, Hispanic. You're none of those things. You're an American. Do you guys even understand that? That's what these politicians use every election to either divide you or draw you in and lie to you. Now they are masters of the game, meaning they are masters of propaganda, psychological warfare. They know it, they understand it, they've been taught it. They know how to manipulate you, use you. Once they use you to achieve their agenda, then it's all about fattening their wallets. It's all about being for themselves and that corporate industry or corporate conglomerate that donated all this money to their political funds. The very same corporate identities that send them money under the table. Oh, boy, have we forgotten that term? Still a term to this day. It's still used. Working under the table. Money that's not written or shown for taxes. It happens to this day. I used to watch it happen almost every morning with the illegal immigrants that would go to Lowe's, stand out in front of Lowe's at 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting for the contractors to come in so they could get jobs. Think those contractors were making them fill out paperwork, taking their social security numbers? No. They were paying them under minimum wage, so they didn't have to pay somebody like me that had the skills $15, $18 an hour. They didn't have to pay for the benefits, their medical. And they just write it off as for materials and stuff. So don't tell me these politicians aren't getting paid well. Truthfully, you know how much a politician should get paid? I would honestly say nothing. They're doing a public service. But if they're going to get paid, pay them what we pay our military officials. In fact, I'd pay them a little less because our military officials are putting their lives on the line. I would even say pay our police departments what we pay our military, because they're out there putting their lives on the line. These are some of the changes you guys should be talking about amongst yourselves. Within your communities, the changes that you guys want to see. What's going to make this country great? Greater than it's ever been. That was our forefathers' dream. That's what every generation's dream is, that the next generation would make this country better than what we left it. There's nothing wrong with industrial growth, technology growth, as long as it's being monitored by the right hands. Who's the right hands? We, the people, for the people. You, the everyday citizen, person. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, because you're still working. You're still doing a job. It might not be a labor job. Even the IT department, people that's in the IT, technology, medical, your voices matter. Even the entrepreneurs, your voices matter, as long as you don't do what the previous politicians have done. Learn from their mistakes, don't repeat them. And we can show you what happens when they break our trust. We will not put you back in office. 2018, remove every single one that's in office right now. Do not put them back in. And when the next cycle comes up, remove the rest. That's how you make change. That's how you make your voice heard. And yes, I know it'd be very hard. Well, remember one thing. You can still pen in a name. We have social media. That's what really screwed the pooch. That's why they started saying fake news this. Started making everything discreditable. Started creating all these different movements to cause this division, to break the social media. So you can't trust anything or anything you say. We have platforms now where I can come on right now if I so chose, well, if I had a good internet connection, and live stream this stream right now from 8 different platforms. Actually more. I'm not, yeah. We can reach a wider audience. And it starts by informing our communities, having our communities spread the word to other communities, driving to other communities, interacting with them, finding out what changes they want, introducing yourselves to them. We need a revival. We need a revival within our states, coming together as a state, talking about these issues over barbecues, music, whatever. Create these events inside your communities and share them with other communities. Invite them in. We need change. We need to stand up to these states that think that they can harbor and go against our Constitution, go against our Supreme Court. You're breaking the law. It's time we hold them accountable. It's time we demand action. We demand that they be arrested and charged for ethics violations, charged for crimes. Let them know that they are no longer above the law. They are no different from us. And they should be charged just like us. If we did the same thing they did. Because we did what they did, we'd be in prison. Time to end the double standards. Oh, disconnected again, so I guess on that note, I'm just going to end the stream before it decides to just not let me reconnect again next time it does it. I pretty much said what I had to say. Think about it. Share this video with others, guys. Or do your own. Bring your own message. It does not matter how it's done. It doesn't matter if it's through this video or through your own voice. If you want to clip sections out of it, just make sure it's, when you do, that you're clipping the whole message, not editing it to make it say what you want other people to think, because that's when I'll have an issue with it. Other than that, I don't really care. You're free to do as you wish, just like you're free to make your own choices. You know, I can't tell you who to vote for, can't tell you how to vote, can't tell you how to run your communities. I can only tell you what I see, what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I think might work. You guys have to make those decisions and those choices. In the end, that's what it comes down to. It's about choice. And for every choice, there's a consequence. There's a consequence, whether it be good or bad. You know, just like people that do things or then try to get in trouble and they try to blame it on addictions and stuff. It doesn't matter. The addiction had nothing to do with it. Your choices has everything to do with it. You chose to take the drug. You chose to keep that addiction and not get help. So therefore, you chose the consequences that come with the results. Our politicians and governments have chosen the path they're on. Now it's time they reap the repercussions of those bad choices. And that is by not re-electing them into office. Nobody that's a member of Congress right now, of the House and Senate, should be re-elected. Just not in Congress, but on the state level as well. These mayors who went against us, who don't do what they promised, they need to be removed as well. The ones that are about the things, those are the ones you keep in. Maybe, and we also need to start demanding it's time we put term limits on these people. That's it. We've had enough. No more career politicians. But I'm going to end that on that note. You guys have a wonderful weekend. And I don't know, might go live later. Haven't decided. I've got a few things I'm working on. But enjoy the weekend. Think about things. Question. That's the other thing, guys. You guys got to start questioning. If somebody triggers you, or something someone says triggers you, don't unfollow and question. Why? Why'd that bother me so much? You know? If it turns out the reason it bothered you because the person said something they should have probably had said, and they were probably dead wrong, then hit that follow button. You know, we seem to get offended too easily here of late. But we never ask why did that offend us. We've been taught not to question, which is completely the opposite. We're supposed to question everything, even ourselves. You start questioning things, you'll start seeing things clearly. You'll be less offended, and you'll be able to help others out more because they'll see that in you. That's the final message for today. I'll see you guys later. You guys enjoy your weekend.